They tied her up because she was quiet. They freed her because they had no idea who was listening. The desert sun glared over Fort Sable, the heat shimmering like a warning. And there, at the center of the dusty training yard, a young woman was bound to a metal pole, wrists cinched tight, uniform dirtied, hair swept across her face by the dry noon wind. The soldiers who tied her stood nearby, half laughing, half nervous, unaware that within minutes, the quietest woman on base would change the entire atmosphere. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. They had mocked her silence for weeks. Some called her ghost. Others said she didn't belong. But today their taunts escalated into a cruel dare, one the youngest private, Rourke, instantly regretted. He kept glancing toward the gate, heart pounding, as if some intuition whispered that their actions were about to draw the wrong kind of attention. Because what none of them knew was that a convoy had just rolled to a stop outside the base. And stepping out wasn't just any officer. It was the Delta Force general known only as Hawthorne, a man whose reputation traveled faster than his shadow. She thought she'd never see him again. She was wrong. The wind shifted first. A single swirl of sand raced across the ground, brushing against her boots like a quiet promise. She closed her eyes, steadying her breath against the sting of embarrassment and rope burns digging deeper into her skin. She wasn't angry. She was exhausted, tired of pretending their words didn't hurt, tired of shrinking herself so memories of a darker past wouldn't follow her. But the past, like footsteps in the sand, never stays buried. A soft murmur rippled across the nearby barracks as soldiers stepped outside, shielding their eyes from the bright daylight. Rourke swallowed hard. The yard suddenly felt different, charged, expectant. Even the flag above seemed to pause mid-flutter, as if holding its breath. A dust cloud approached, deliberate, powerful. Then boots hit the ground. General Hawthorne walked through the open gate, without a word. His presence silenced everything. The bullies stiffened. A few straightened their uniforms. Others stepped back entirely, realizing only too late how small cruelty looks under the sun. Hawthorne's eyes found her instantly, not because she was tied up, but because he recognized the tilt of her chin. The same steady tilt she held years ago when she stood beside him during a firefight. She was too young to survive, yet somehow did. He didn't shout. He didn't demand explanations. He walked right past the group of soldiers as if they were irrelevant, his voice low but sharp enough to cut through the heat. Who gave the order? Silence. A collective shame washed over them. A few glanced at Rourke. Others bowed their heads. No one answered. Hawthorne didn't wait. One sharp gesture, and his accompanying team moved like a synchronized wave. Tools unclipped, gloves slid on. In seconds the pole was surrounded by disciplined motion, metal clinking against metal as the ropes were sliced clean. The crowd watched as she fell forward, and Hawthorne caught her before her knees touched the ground. "You don't owe them a single word," he murmured, just loud enough for her to hear. "But you owe yourself the truth. You're not here to disappear." Her throat tightened. The sunlight made her eyes burn, but not from the brightness. For the first time in months, she felt seen, not as the quiet girl to shove aside, but as the soldier who had once stood her ground in a war zone, and deserved the same respect here. Behind them, the guilty soldiers shifted uneasily as Hawthorne turned. "This base protects its own," he said, voice steady, "not break them." His words didn't thunder. They didn't need to. Even the air seemed to stand up straighter. The bullies weren't disciplined on the spot. Something heavier happened. They were told to look her in the eye, to confront the harm. One by one, under the relentless daylight, they apologized, not out of fear of Hawthorne, but out of the quiet, undeniable weight of their own actions. And she, still shaky, but resolute, accepted every apology with the grace they didn't deserve. Because courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it stands quietly in the sun, refusing to vanish. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And sometimes the light that exposes cruelty is the same light that helps someone rise again. If you felt something while listening, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories told from the heart.